Welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always with Kyle Fergusson, and for the first time joining us on this program, our very special guest today, Kiyeberries. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so nervous.
Well, if you've watched before, you know you shouldn't be, because, this is about... Kyle, what would you say? 25% Heroes of the Storm and 75%. What movie did you watch this weekend?
No, I think we do pretty good. I think we do all right. Plus, I mean, we have a big excuse today because Kiyeberries is here, so we get to do a healer special. And I will do my damnedest not call it the support special again. Blizzard, please.
That's hard. That is tough. I think I still call them supports as well. Yikes.
I still call it the night camp. So
same.
It's
Who still calls Falstad's Hinterland's Blast shock and awe? Am I the only one?
Oh, wow.
That's a long time ago.
Wait,
taking it back.
Is that what it was called in Tech Alpha?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't remember that.
It was like a circle around him. It just kind of went, bleh, and that was it.
That was it. And it was called shock and awe. I still call it that. I don't do well with change.
You're blowing my mind. I don't either.
Habit.
I think that probably speaks more to how much Falstad I played and / still play, and less, my
sheer name too than like Hinterland's Blast. Like shock and awe is shock and awe, like it was cool.
It sounds more like something that a hammer should have.
Yeah, fair.
Not to segue us too hard, but you said you're no good at change, yet you play mainly healers.
Yes. Yeah, that is a difficulty. That's true.
And you have been on perhaps the biggest roller coaster of any player base this past year.
That will happen. Yeah, the healer changes, they come at you fast. So sometimes you just have to, like, whatever one is OP at the moment, you're like, well, this is new and exciting. Play it.
What are you trying to say about healers, Kyle? You unhappy with how frequently they're messed with?
No, I'm just happy for everybody else, because this is so often a solo lane tank show. We get to see the other side of things, and often the side of things I am the least concerned about when it comes to my team, the Careless Badgers, because you just take care of yourself.
If that helps. Like, I'm literally always concerned about you. That's 100% of the time.
And we appreciate that, because you're there to react to our awful things and help us recover from them.
I think I was told once by Dreadnought, actually, that healers can have the biggest effect on the meta and on a team fight and on the game. So when they get buffed or nerfed, even if it seems like a really small buff or nerf, it actually can have like huge consequences throughout the game. Because remember the double support meta when healers were doing slightly too much damage and they just took over a whole spot in the team, and you had 2 healers in every team? Healers are really powerful, so little buffs and nerfs to them actually have huge consequences, and it shows. When we had from the notes, the Age of Ariel, that was a fun time, both times, because it's happened twice, I think, in HOTS.
Yeah. Oh, the double support. To date myself, that just makes me think of that line from Austin Powers. It was just like, "Why won't you die?" That's how that felt. No one would die during the double support meta. It was
yeah. Get team fights took forever. There was the 2 times with Ariel. The time when Rez first got nerfed and she was OP, but then way before that, when she had that level 4 talent that reduced the cooldown of her Q to 1.5 seconds. That was absurd. That was really fun when that existed.
Oh, was that a base talent?
No, it was like a level 4 talent that just reduced the cooldown of her Q, and that was all they did. They removed it. It's gone. They didn't even modify it. They just deleted the whole talent entirely.
Because I remember the one, and I think it's still there, where if you hit people in the center sweep, you get a cooldown reduction.
That's for your clap. Maybe that is the Q. That's for the clap. That's still there. No, for her heal. Her heal had a talent at 4 that just reduced the cooldown of her heal from whatever it is, 4 seconds to 1.5. So she was a machine for healing. Nobody could out-heal Ariel. It was insane. And they just deleted it from the game. It was so broken. But we had 2-3 weeks of it where Ariel was first pick, first ban, because she was nutty.
It's funny to think back on some of those old talents and just how... how boring they were is one critique you could say. How few words there were, maybe. Like a whole talent was dedicated to 10% range on Sonya, hookshot business, and you're like, oh, the thrills, will they end?
Some of those talents didn't have to be fancy to be really good. She just put out so much healing you could never kill anybody, and that was it.
So we probably should have done this at the top, but for podcast listeners that may not be familiar with you, Kiyeberries, you know, where can they find you? What does your like daily week look like in Heroes of the Storm?
Well, like
Did I say daily
branding,
week? That is a terrible sentence.
That's okay. I got it. I'm with you. I am everywhere: Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram at Kiyeberries. We keep it simple here. I play HOTS 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I'm a creature of the night, though. So I start streaming at like 7 p.m. My YouTube videos publish at like 1 a.m. I live in the darkness. And yeah, I play HOTS Monday through Friday. I play with Kyle Fergusson. We're on the Careless Badgers together. I'm the healer. I play primarily healer. The only time I don't is when somebody first picks Ariel and I don't get to heal, and then I clumsily try to do anything else. It's not a good look. It's not good. But I do my best. I play a lot of healers, make a lot of healer videos. I'm just here to support my friends. I actually play healer in every video game that I play. So it's a lifestyle.
Nice. I'm trying to imagine you attempting to heal in games that don't let you.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'll try to find a way. And if I can't, then it's probably not the game for me. You know what I mean? Like, I could play Planet Side because you could play like a medic or an engineer and I can glue gun people. Great, let me at them. I tried to play Apex Legends and play Lifeline, but it just wasn't enough healing. Too much shooting, too many guns.
No, yeah, you still gotta kill people. It's not fair.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not actually a healer. I thought I was signing up to play like Mercy in Overwatch. Like that's not. It's not what
and
that game
she's
was
expected
about.
to kill too a little bit. The meta
I
moved
know.
on without me. I wanted to hide behind a wall and shoot my laser around the corner.
Yeah, people were like, you got to like use your ult and fly in the air and shoot people. I was like, no.
Definitely not my jam.
No, I'm just here to help others.
We're gonna.
Well,
Go ahead, Kyle.
That's a pretty crazy range to go from that much. I assume mostly Storm League on the Twitch channel.
Yes.
And then to jump into a coordinated play where you perform. It's such an interesting dynamic because you perform the healing job beyond your league. And I've seen you get to Diamond before.
Right now, currently, but in life it has happened.
So what is that like, switching between the two? And what is Storm League like as a healer main?
Terribly sad. It's filled with sadness, honestly. It's so much better to play healer with a coordinated group, and there's no coordination in the Storm League. You've been there, you know. And it's just really tough. I actually usually play entirely different healers in Storm League than I play with groups as well. Like Deckard and Anna, who I play a lot in our games, I usually don't play in Storm League because they require a little more coordination and things that just won't ever happen. So I don't play them in Storm League. I tend to play like simpler healers in Storm League, and sometimes that works out, but it's really tough. When Team League and Hero League got combined, again, we're going back in time, but when Storm League was birthed from the joining of Hero League and Team League, it was actually like good for me at first because more people were like duoing and queuing as teams, and it was like, yeah, woo. Now though, you don't see it as much unless you like ask people to play with you. Like I love it if I see so many complaints on Reddit where people are like, I hate being the solo teammate when I queue into a 4-stack, but it's like, I love that. Like, yes. Because then they just do stuff and I can follow them and heal them and it's awesome. And they're probably communicating. It's amazing. And I'm just here to help.
I find when that happens to me, they usually like want to chat. They'll usually be like, hey, get in chat. We're all on the team.
Sometimes they do. I'm always kind of hesitant about getting in chat with randoms. One, because I'm streaming and people just yell terrible things. You can't have that happen.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's awkward. And then two, just being a lady, sometimes things go sideways. But it's just, I don't know, teamwork and team play is so important for a healer. A lot of the healers have a lot of really strong like CC abilities as well, like Deckard. Ever since the Ruby re-nerf, his CC is really his strength, not so much his healing output. And you just don't see like follow-up in Storm League very often. You can land a 5-man, stay a while and listen, and everybody just scatters. So it's tough. It's a tough life being a solo healer in Storm League.
So can we, how do you feel about a spin-off of this show where you and I do a podcast called Terribly Sad, and it's just about solo queuing as either a healer or a solo laner?
God, yeah, that would probably be sad. We could do that. And like, where are the tank mains at in Storm League? That's another thing I see, is that you'll have me as healer and 4 people who want to play ranged DPS, or the really awkward moment where it's 3 people who want to heal and 2 people who want to play ranged DPS. And then we're like, somebody's going to have to melee.
That's got to be really awkward when you get flown in as the 5th for a 4-stack. You're like, how do you all ever fill out a comp?
Yeah.
If none of you want to tank.
Yeah, it is rough finding tanks in Storm League. Nobody wants to do that. I find far more people are willing to heal than willing to tank.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm wondering if I've just become more aware of it. And Kyle, maybe you can speak to this as a tank player. But I used to never really think of tank as like this thankless job, or like that became kind of de facto blamed player in a game of heroes, but I feel it has become that. And it's something I was used to feel in other games like World of Warcraft, especially when like things like LFR got added. It felt like kick the tanks because we wiped. But I now notice that more in Heroes of the Storm than I think I ever have before, which is things are going bad and people just start, oh my God, learn how to tank, never play tank again. I heard one comment on a stream one time about anchoring, and I have strong opinions about it.
I've always heard like blame the healer, but no, blame the tank is way more prevalent. Or like healing is so hard, but I think tanking is much harder because you're kind of in control of most of like the initiating. You're expected to frontline, and I know this is supposed to be the healer show, and I'm talking about tanking, but like,
oh, they go hand in hand. They're working together to take care of the kids.
That's true. Yeah, you thankless DPS.
I do have a question for you though.
Yeah.
It's a one that I am curious about, because as the guy who's always tank, I have no idea what other tanks play like. What do other tanks play like for you? And am I different than that when I tank for our team?
Yeah. Well, in Storm League especially, I feel like you often, not always, but often get 1 or 2 types of tank. You get the YOLO tank who just runs in, doesn't need CC. He's just in there, right? Imagine Garrosh just like running into the middle of the enemy team, which can work, but can also be very tragic. Like he has no DPS around. There's no follow-up. He's just in there like swimwear for every not team fight. Or you have the really shy tank who does not want to initiate, and they're hanging really far back. They're like behind the ranged DPS somewhere. Like you have a Johanna who's standing next to me as Deckard. I'm like, what are you doing back here? Those are my 2 most common tanks in Storm League. And they can both be very frustrating for different reasons. You kind of want, maybe in between. Like definitely need to initiate, need to frontline, but that doesn't mean you need to be underneath the enemy towers at level 1. Like you probably don't need to do that. But then on the other hand, you can't have a tank that's not initiating at all. You can't have Mal'Ganis that's in your team's backline just hanging out, not sleeping anybody. But I think that comes in Storm League a lot too, because nobody wants to tank, so they're not really familiar with it. They haven't built up that game sense of when to engage, so they either go way too ham or not in at all. But with our team, I find our communication is so good about when we're going in and what we're doing and who we're looking at. It's hugely helpful as a healer. I know what you're doing at all times because you're always narrating it, and it's amazing. I'm so happy. Please continue to do that.
I love you.
I know when you're going in.
Narrate. Like that's such a great choice of words for Kyle.
Yeah, but it's so good. It's so helpful and perfect because I know exactly when you're going in. You're telling what your cooldowns are at, so I know if you're going to take like more damage or less. Like thinking of Mal'Ganis when you're going in looking for sleeps, then I know not to, throw out a cube because I don't want to wake up all of your sleep targets. And that's really, really important. I pick what healer I'm going to play. Like it's dependent I want to say like 80% on what tank we have, and then like 20% on what DPS we have, because a lot of the times what combos you can execute and what kind of CC and lockdown you can perform is based on what tank you have. There's exceptions, like I'll play Ana, especially depending on what DPS that we have, but what tank we have is a little more important. A lot of Ana's CC needs a strong tank to be able to follow up because her darts are so slow, right? Like Sleep Dart and Debilitating Dart both move like physically very slow. So being able to land those abilities require other CC to initiate. So like Mal'Ganis is really good for that. So if I see a Mal'Ganis, I'm always like, oh, this could be a great Ana game. And if we get a Li Ming, that's even better because I can nano her. But the CC is probably more important with Ana.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel that with the root out of Anduin as well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe by the designers realizing that they made healers with too much CC, designing new weird CCs, they actually exacerbated our first tank pick meta in that we always want to tank early because the healer needs to know what kind of CC they're going to have. So the roots on Deckard, the Anduin roots, and everything else actually hit.
It's a symptom of the genre too. In other MOBAs like League of Legends, there's far less just raw healing, and the healers or supports in those games, CC is kind of all is what they do, right? CC and shielding is more prevalent than just raw healing. But you know, Blizzard, I think some of HOTS's like bones was built off of the World of Warcraft idea of having one tank, one healer, 3 DPS, like a dungeon group. So your healers have a lot of raw healing, but to keep them kind of in line with the rest of the MOBAs where the healers carry most of the CC. So now you have healers who have all of this CC power, but also all this healing power. That's how they get out of control too. Like I said earlier, how a little buff to a healer can make them way too strong because healing itself is very strong. And then also they carry all of this CC. So it's tough to balance. I feel that for the devs. Healers do have a lot of impact on the game inside of their kits. But yeah, the healer tank relationship is really closely tied with setting up kills. I don't know if DPS players see it as much as we do, but for me, what tanks I have and what tanks the enemy team has too is equally important. Like, what do you play into a Garrosh? If the enemy team takes ETC, it can change entirely what you want to play as the healer player.
So in Gold League solo queue, then it must end up this weird dance where you don't get an early tank and nobody wants to tank, so you don't know what healer you want.
It definitely can be very tough in that.
Yeah.
If nobody wants to tank. The lower the ranks go, I think it favors healers that just have really high healing output. Also, in the lower ranks, everybody is probably familiar that nobody wants to like lane. It's always just a battle, right? It's the hero brawler. Everybody's fighting. So like laning, soaking, doing camps, any macro stuff starts to fall away the lower you get in the ranks. So then also healers that can pick Rhaegar is so good in the lower ranks because he actually can offlane and take camps all by himself. So Rhaegar sees far more play, I think, in the lower ranks than he does in the higher ranks. Except when Bloodlust was super buffed. That was a great time. But since Bloodlust has been nerfed, you don't see Rhaegar as much like platinum and diamond as you do in bronze, silver, gold. He can do really well in the lower ranks. So
there are still Rhaegars playing. Yeah. My concern when I look at those sort of brawly leagues, I see Rhaegar's heal and go, oh, that no one's gonna feel comfy with that. You're gonna tickle Vala. And she's not going to move an inch on her health bar. Yeah, Rhaegar's healing, especially in the early game, is a lot lower than almost any other healer. Especially the healers that get favored in the lower ranks, like Brightwing, Lily, Lucio. Like their healing output is so much higher than Rhaegar's. But he does pick up in the late game with talents, like the one that reduces the cooldown of his Q at 13. Like Tidal Wave is the name of it. That really picks up his healing output. But his ability to do anything else can really help in the lower ranks. If you have nobody who can camp, Rhaegar can camp like just fine, especially from level 4. If you take the lightning shield upgrade that gives you mana back, which you should just take that anyway, he can do night camps by himself from 4.
And if no one else is going to camp, getting camps can be really important. If you're on Garden of Terror and you don't have anyone else who can camp, Rhaegar is really great. And then he does have one of the last true cleanses left over as well. So I do see him picked even in higher ranks when you really need one of those unstoppable cleanses, and none of the other ones are available because there's just not that many anymore.
Yeah. It's a good time to ask a topic I know you were aware of because you actually checked the notes ahead of time, which is like, how do you feel about kind of healer across 2020, like just kind of the trends we've seen with the role and the changes that have been made to healers in Heroes of the Storm? Because we've been looking
around a lot in 2020. Oh my gosh, because there's been so many like buffs and strong nerfs. Because you had the Ariel with Rez thing that was either the end of 2019 or the beginning of 2020, right? Where Ariel was super OP.
Yeah, it felt like the Heroes holiday season, right? Which is basically the beginning of the year.
Yeah. So that was a whole moment, and then you had the Deckard Cain Ruby buff, and then subsequent removal of that buff. But Deckard Cain was crazy. Then there was Rhaegar for a minute when Bloodlust was super OP. That was so fun. That was a great couple weeks where Bloodlust was just insanely good. Didn't matter what your team comp was, you just press R and you would win a team fight instantly.
So do you look at it like so compartmentalized? Like when those healers were hot, was that just what you were slamming every game for the most part?
Oh yeah, when they were super, like stupid OP like that, absolutely. Yeah, you just I played Rhaegar like every game when Bloodlust was stupid OP, and when Rez was super great with Ariel, you played Ariel every game, like no questions asked. Right now, I don't think we have anybody who's as insanely OP. The last round of healer, there was all buffs last patch for the most part for healers, but I don't think it pushed anybody to being like, I must take this at all times. Like Anduin got buffed, Alex Straza got buffed, but I don't see them as being as crazy as like Bloodlust Rhaegar was.
So do you look at it and see it as like a successful tactic? Like, did it make you play healers that you otherwise normally wouldn't? And have you stuck with some of them and kind of made them a part of your arsenal?
Last were ones I already played, so it wasn't crazy for me personally, but I think Rhaegar especially, a lot of people weren't playing him before that buff. Rhaegar is actually my highest level hero. He's about to hit level 200, so I've played a lot of Rhaegar. Yeah. When there was another time with Rhaegar, someone in chat just mentioned it's true though, when he was legitimately almost a bruiser, when all of the lightning shield buffs were there and he could just 1v1 anyone. That was another cool time for Rhaegar. But I think his Bloodlust buff meta for those couple weeks was actually really big because a lot of people, especially in higher ranks, did not play Rhaegar at all. So seeing him first picked in GM streams was pretty fun.
I just liked that playstyle. It was like his Bloodlust for the longest time was such a memey pick. But it was
it was great. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And Bloodlust is one of those alts where even in a really uncoordinated team, when they hear the most people will go in and fight. Like, it is really sad if you hit Bloodlust and you get a team that runs away. But for the most part, Bloodlust has that effect on people where they'll go ham. And it was just very fun gameplay. But alas, it is no more.
There's few healers that have such a strong shot call. It's just like, this is happening and it's happening now.
It definitely had a good motivating effect, more so than like, I mean, you can play Anna and nano boost a Li Ming and they just turn and run away and it's heartbreaking and it happens all the time. Same with like Lieutenant Morales, right? You give your Raynor a stim drone and he's like out of there.
I just have to imagine that those two examples, those people have their volume very, very low on their game.
I don't know. They have big screen effects and everything too. Yeah. I don't see how people don't see some of those ults. But at the same time too, with no core, that's another thing with healers and solo queue and Storm League and lack of coordination. Some of those alts, I nano you and I didn't realize all your stuff's on cooldown. And it's like, oh, well, that can be a problem.
The Bloodlust meta was so sad as a tank because it was Johanna 24/7. And a Bloodlust Johanna did nothing. You had 2 pillows instead of 1 maybe. And you just ran in there a little bigger. Nothing special at all.
There are some tanks that really do benefit from movement speed and do benefit from a Bloodlust, but yeah, Joe's not one of them. A Bloodlusted Arthas is actually the coolest thing you've ever seen. Like Arthas with movement speed, running into the enemy team and slowing everybody. And then if he took I think it's called Rune Tap or something, the auto attack talent where he heals when he auto attacks. Oh man. During that Bloodlust meta, Bloodlust and Arthas was one of my favorite things.
You're basically turning Jason Voorhees into the fast zombies from the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah, like the rage zombies. It was really great. That was a good time. But
yeah, just terrifying stuff. So it's in terms of a trend, which is I think more or less what you've described, which is they've really kind of focused in on one healer at a time over the course of 2020. Do you like it, or do you want them to continue with that, or would you like them to kind of adopt a different strategy?
It's kind of always been this way with healers. Healers get buffed super hard and then get nerfed, but then somebody else gets buffed, and it just kind of cycles around. If you look through patch notes since the beginning of Tech Alpha, you'll see there were times when Uther was super OP as a healer and then super OP as a tank. That was cool. And then Uther gets nerfed and nobody plays Uther. And then there was that time where Brightwing was bugged and she was super OP and then she got fixed and then she's gone. And then Lily, when Wind Serpent build was super OP and Lily was first pick, and that was weird.
That.
That was a good time. And then that was gone. And then there was when Lucio was, it just kind of happens where the healer meta shifts a lot. And it's kind of like a cycle or like a circle. And you just kind of wait for the next one. If you have a favorite healer and they're not very good right now, they'll come back. Don't worry, just give it a couple seasons, give it a couple months, and they will come right back around. Right now is actually, to me, kind of a weird time because there's several good healers, but there's no standout one that's just like super OP right now.
Yeah, so we've had a week now with the new balance patch, and as you mentioned, it was pretty much buffs across the board. I guess Anna aside, but even the Anna nerfs didn't seem to be enough for the community.
No, because they were nerfs, and they were nerfs in the right direction because they were nerfs at her CC, since that's what's really strong with Anna, like Sleep Dart build. Her biggest thing is how she can facilitate a kill with lockdown. But the thing with nerfing, like the duration of sleep and stuff like that, it doesn't matter because when she's executed correctly, the person dies really fast. So the nerf was in the right direction, but I don't think it pushed her out of the meta. But yeah, none of them got pushed into the holy OP first pick status. None of the healers. Anduin's buffs were nice, like just his flat stats were buffed, and then the reduction in cooldown to Leap of Faith is really cool because Leap of Faith is one of his stronger things. But that doesn't make him like first pick OP. It just makes it feel better to play Anduin. And then Alex Straza getting W build buffed is hilarious. I don't know anyone who actually plays W build before or after. Ooh. W build is so terrible. Most people, I think, with Alex Straza play E build. That's really the most popular build, especially in higher ranks. Playing E build is where it's at, and then a couple of us, myself included, like Q build, and Q build did see some buffs in there, so like woo woo. But I don't know how they're gonna make W build a thing. I just don't know, because W, it with Alex Straza is just a big sign that says, "Please kill me right here." Like just kill me here. Your whole team or several people grouping up on that big W that takes so long to tick. That's just asking for the enemy team to drop their CC there, to drop their bad grenade there, to charge in right there. And it's just, I don't know. I don't see how it's ever going to be a thing.
There are some ideas around the community, like making it reactivatable for less healing. It builds to the maximum healing when it does the full circle. Is there anything you'd like to see? Because you love Alex Straza, and I want you to pick it more.
Yeah, well, I love playing Q build, and the healing output from Q build is nutty. Like, you can do so much healing, and as long as you can play safe, because being poked when you're in Q build is not good, you can get a lot of value out of it, but it's more situational. E build, a lot of people like it. I just don't feel comfortable with it as a solo healer. I feel like it does better in double heal, but I see people play it all the time as a solo healer and make it work. But W build is just, it's so risky, and especially in an uncoordinated team, like, you put all of these talents into your W, right? And you've got this big beefy W that gives movement speed, it drops a globe, but then nobody stands in it. And all of those talents just went to waste because nobody stood in it. or everybody stands in it and then the enemy team jumps on top of it. You know, like Maiev puts her cage right there and you're like, oh no, what have I done? I've doomed you all. Like it's just very risky and often doesn't get reward. So I don't know fundamentally how they can fix W build. Letting you activate it whenever you want, I feel like would be a really good thing for it. Because then if you see the enemy team is starting to stack on top of it, you could pop it early and get something out of it. But I think it would need more than just numbers buffs to make W more attractive.
Is it a grenade issue? Is Ana as big of a counter as the memes?
For W build, Ana is a tremendous counter because she can cancel all of that healing very easily for an entire team. Like W build is completely just neutered by Ana. Also, if you take Lifebinder, Ana can be a huge problem for Lifebinder as well. So if you play against an Ana and you're playing Alexstrasza, you kind of have to play E build or play Q build very carefully. But also, I mean, there's other healing reduction things out there too that can be equally, like Malfurion with the healing reduction on his root. If he just puts his root into that W, not only is everybody rooted in place, which the enemy team can use to kill everybody, they've also got healing reduction on that. So it's really hard to commit to W build. I don't think I would ever do it.
And then on top of all of the other concerns of just standard getting dumped on by area abilities like the Maiev view.
I'm just putting your whole team in one very small, predictable spot for a duration. That's not a good idea either.
Yeah, it's so unique, and like I can completely understand them like wanting to continue playing with it to see if they can push it and mold it and make it work. But yeah, it's the way you describe it, like it just takes too long. It takes too long to happen.
So long to pop off, which on one hand you need because you need your team to be able to travel to it since it's on the ground, right? So if your team is not already in that location, they need to travel to it. So it has to have enough time for them to get there to receive the healing, but that's also giving the enemy team enough time to set up and kill them all. So
Well, how's the range on it? Because we could do the Gazlo treatment where we reduce the pop time like Gazlo's bomb, increase the range like Gazlo's bomb, and reduce the healing.
Fairly long range. Alexstrasza in general has pretty long range. Like
they reduced the range.
Tremendously long range. They might have reduced it a little, but it's still just in general because of how she needs to like she can't heal herself, right? Except with E build or the W. So Alexstrasza has to be able to position very safely because she's very susceptible to being dove on and killed or poked down because it's really hard to heal yourself back up. Same with Ana. Ana has super long range because healing herself is kind of cumbersome. So Alex's abilities in general have pretty decent range on them.
How would you go about the biotic grenade change? Because we saw a healing duration reduction of 0.25, not really a ton, so that healers could perhaps wait a minute, almost not totally 2 seconds, and then apply their heal afterwards.
Yeah, it's a small help, but again, Ana sees her best moment when you can use all of your abilities at once on one person and then have them die very quickly. Like when I was taught how to play Ana, because for the longest time I didn't want to play her at all, and for CCL, the celebrity CCL, we've got to make the distinction. For the celebrity CCL season 2, my team really wanted me to play Ana, so I committed to learning her, and I had some help from some good players. And the thing they taught me is best way to play Ana is find a tank with CC, follow that CC up, and destroy 1 or 2 people. So like the combo we practice is Mal'Ganis would sleep somebody. As his sleep is about to wear off, you throw your Ana sleep, your biotic grenade, and your debilitating dart right on top of that person, and then DPS just dogpiles them. They were slept by Mal'Ganis, they're slept by Ana. You get the movement speed reduction from debilitating dart, and they can't be healed. So they can't leave, and they can't be healed, and then you just kill them. You have like Li Ming or Kael'thas or Greymane or anybody go kill them in that moment where they can't move and they can't be healed. And this should all happen very quickly, so it requires like decent comms. But that's where you get the best effect out of Ana. You can do it in reverse, where Ana gets the initial pick with like a sleep, and we did this quite a bit in that CCL where like I would throw out technically blind sleeps. If I hit somebody, our tank, and it was like Garrosh, and then say Coffee on Alarak would follow up on that. So I'd land the sleep, then Garrosh would throw, then I would debilitating dart and biotic grenade, and Coffee would just combo with Alarak, and that person should be dead. And it needs to be like really fast and really coordinated, and there's very little you can do about that on the enemy team side. Once it happens, it's like, what do you do? Because it should happen really fast. And with the healing reduction as well as the slow and then the movement speed reduction, like you don't have a lot of options out of it.
Did they give you any hard and fast rules about the biotic grenade? Because I feel like the top end Annas never ever use it for healing on their own party.
No, you're not supposed to use it for healing. I was always told to use it to kill somebody. If I do sometimes have to use it for healing for like emergencies. Like if it's an emergency, that's I guess fine, but it should really just be used for that kill. It's most impactful to deny the healing and get somebody dead. So the timing on it has to be correct. You have to, because even, especially now that they shorten the duration a little bit, if you throw it too early and they don't die, then that's sad. So you do have to time it so they will die, but that's how it should be used. I think chat's actually right, and it's something I've talked about before too, but probably the only way you could counter that and kind of rein Anna in a little bit is make it so you could cleanse healing reduction.
Ooh, I mean, you can cleanse blinds now, so why not remove debuffs?
Right.
Might be the next thing, right?
There's currently next to no counter to healing reduction. The only counter is like Uther's Divine Shield, right? Invulnerable. That's the only thing that will counter it. Maybe protected, kinda, as well. But
I mean, according to like chat rooms everywhere, just don't get hit by it.
Just move, forehead. It's really hard though to avoid that combo with Anna and any kind of competent tank and follow up. It's like a 3-man thing. Our thing that we ran was Anna Garrosh, Alarak, and if you get caught by one of those 3, I don't see how you could ever get out of that, like without a Divine Shield or Divine Palm, or Karazim's thing. I never play Karazim, the Palm.
You got it, right?
Yeah,
Divine Palm. Yeah, I think they're both divine. Yeah.
That way I'd be really worried about Divine Palm, though, because it roots you in place. So once the Palm pops, they would just kill you again. But either way, it'd be really hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
And nobody did because we won that season. So it's really tough if you execute it well and you have good communication. It's really, really hard to counter because nothing really counters that from Anna.
Just keeps coming back to the communication. I don't know if you've heard the last few episodes of this program, but getting to fill in a couple times for your team has just ruined my solo experience because it's just so relaxing.
That I don't actually play Anna though in Storm League because there is no comms and there often is no follow-up. So even landing the sickest sleep dart and doing my combo correct doesn't guarantee any follow-up. So I just don't play her in Storm League because it's heartbreaking. And when you're not getting value out of those abilities, then all you're left with is Anna's healing. And she does have like decently impressive healing, but it's harder to use than a lot of other healers that have point and click healing. She doesn't have a true cleanse. She has a pseudo cleanse. So it's like, then I start shifting into other healers that I can get more value out of if we're not going to follow up Anna's combo.
As a healer, what's the story with Uther?
Oh man,
he became tank and
yeah. I have been of the opinion for a little while now that Uther should be reworked into an actual tank. I would give up on making Uther a healer. He hasn't been a healer for a long time, and for a while he's been played as a tank or a bruiser or an offlaner or anything but a healer. And you can play him as a healer in like specific kinds of comps. It does happen, but I think he would get more value as make him a tank. Like, honestly, I feel like it would be easier to make him a tank than to make him a competitive healer. Because even though he can be used in a couple niche comps, like Uther's pick rate as a healer and not as a tank or a bruiser has to be so much like lower than any other healer. Like he's not a meta healer. Like I don't know. I'd make him a tank. That's what I would do. I would scrap Uther as a healer if I was in charge.
Chat room's baiting me because I am kind of on the train for his W build since the buffs. Like, do you like that?
It was buffed, and he's definitely better, but I don't think I like it. I do know some people that do, that are all about it. There's our friend Porky. He's another one though, because his CC is so strong that he requires communication and follow up and all those things that you don't get in Storm League. So I don't get to play him very much. We don't run any comps with him currently for Badgers, so I don't actually remember the last time I played Uther. I do actually, and it was as a tank. So
well, next time I sub in, I'll bring him to the solo lane one of the games. It'll be
do
fun.
it. Yeah, dude, off lane Q Uther, man, do it. It's awesome.
Well, it's fascinating
I would remake him a tank. I think it'd be easier to remake him a tank than make him a competitive healer.
He was basically propped up during the double support meta because of Maelstrom Kerrigan, Tormented Souls Malthael, Dragon Sword Genji. There was a shot call for all the solos that was like, I'm going to do my big thing. Please, everybody put everything on me you have.
That's still the only way I enjoy playing Uther is playing him as like my favorite thing to do with Uther is Uther Butcher. Oh man, Uther Butcher. And then you're just a dive buddy for the Butcher. You follow up the Butcher CC with your stun. It can work with either Divine Storm or Divine Shield. I find more enjoyment out of Divine Shield, but Divine Storm is great too. Because you just go in with the Butcher, you follow up all of his CC with your own CC, you put armor on him. And then for me, once the enemy team tries to react to the Butcher and start CCing him in like, you know, as he's in their back line, and then you just Divine Shield him, and then you can just die, honestly. Like, you're like a very short-lived creature where you dump all of your abilities to follow up the Butcher, and Uther has super long cooldowns, like 12 seconds, I think, on his Q and W, like super long cooldowns. And maybe if you're in the late game, you take like Benediction, so you get double stun. Oh man. And then you just die and heal him as a ghost. And it's like, you've fulfilled your purpose. And then you just die. And it's great. It's really fun. I've done it a few times. You always have the most deaths because the enemy team will see, oh, there's the healer. They're in the middle of our team. Let's kill while the Butcher's just running rampant. And it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It works too with like Kerrigan. Back in the day, it used to work with like Illidan. I haven't seen an Illidan in like 400 years, but you could do the same thing with like Illidan, Kerrigan, the Butcher. I guess it could work with Greymane. I've never done it, but like theoretically, any dive damage character that would like some follow-up CC, and then you just perish and expire. And I don't know, it's really fun. But that's kind of the only way I enjoy playing the Butcher, and it's so niche. It's like such a niche thing that you never see. But oh man, can it be fun!
I'm just laughing at chat room who are making 10,000 years jokes for
Illidan. Totally down for it. They're ready for that Butcher Uther. Like they see it, they know.
Man, Kyle, I'm glad you brought up Uther because I haven't really been paying attention to healer win rates on like stats sites and over on Hot Slugs right now. Uther's in 3rd place.
Yeah,
since the most recent patch.
The armor he provides is very good in the high leagues where focus fire is better. I would be curious how we could create the tank, and I think we got to get rid of the target to heal. Maybe the wave's okay. Maybe the death healing is okay.
To make him a tank?
Yeah.
You focus more on like the things that he gets out of his Q build, and that's what you try to build him to have. So like where he uses his heal as a zap, but it heals him, right?
Sure, Holy Shock,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, Holy Shock. Like that has to become like baseline or an integral part of his kit because that's his thing. Yeah, you balance him around being a Shakaden, his self-healing. He, like the cooldown reduction on his self-healing when he gets stunned, the extra armor when he heals himself. He becomes very, very selfish in that.
How far can we push that without it becoming too close to Arthas? Or is that even a concern because it's poetic, beautiful, and fan fiction? And
it's a little different from Arthas because he doesn't focus on like the AoE slow or the AoE like root or the range root. Like he's very single target based, right? It's a single target stun. It's a single target damage that gives him armor. He's very like 1v1 brawly. He wants to get in there. They could probably do something and give him one of the personalized holy fires too, or where he does damage around him. He has that talent still, and there could probably be something cool personalized about that, like where it only hits one person and it does bonus damage or something.
Well, now we need the rework to land the same time as an Arthas rework, so that they're just both tanks that get picked frequently, and I can just constantly watch Arthas and Uther duke it out in lane.
Yeah, that would be amazing. He has a talent where when he stuns someone, he gets movement speed. So if he's being played as an actual tank, he probably needs some kind of movement like that, either more baseline or I don't know, but something like that works. Maybe he gets movement speed after he Qs, or maybe he slows off of his Q or something to help him initiate so he doesn't just have to waddle in there really slow. Or you bloodlust him so he can go really fast.
There you go. Then he's getting mana return and cooldown reduction from the auto attacks.
Bring the bloodlust meta back and we bloodlust tank Uther. It'll be amazing.
Perfect.
Hear me out. What is the paladins in WoW right now can insta summon a mount for a very short stint? What if that's his engage?
Don't they have that in Diablo as well? Can't
Oh, you're right.
Crusader.
Yeah, the Crusader has like a divine horse ability.
They can just get on a horse and go fast. Yeah, we have it's there. Just give it to
Oh my god, yeah. Is it called Divine Steed?
Yrel already has it.
Yeah, it is Divine Steed.
We'll just have to rename it then. Yrel's lets her mount her full-on mount, but then if she takes damage, she gets dismounted. Uther would need one where he stays on it, even if he takes damage, because he's going in.
That's a good
Yrel
point,
kind of uses that as an escape, right? She uses that to get away. We're going the opposite direction. Uther goes in.
So you got to ride through the Tassadar storm while still being mounted because you're tanking.
Yeah, you're going past Tassadar. You're going in there.
I mean, that'd be a cool like skill shot, Diablo style, to maybe not knocking the walls, not stealing that thunder, but still
for that matter as well, or May.
Yeah.
And are we getting too close? Like, how do you?
Blaze would be our closest comparison.
Yeah. The thing I would take away from Uther and give to another because we've kicked Uther out of the healers now. He's a tank. His cleanse is a really good cleanse, and I would give that to somebody else. Can we have that back though? He has one of the really good cleanses left over. His is actually extra good too, because not only does it provide the unstoppable, his has cooldown reduction from his trait when he deals damage. So he has a really good one.
Or do we keep it on him and then also consider giving it to Johanna and just giving the paladin tanks cleanses?
I mean, I'm down for more people having good cleanses. I'm not a huge fan of the pseudo cleanses. I mean, I use them and they're better than nothing, but I miss the good 1 second unstoppable cleanses like Anna's cleanse, Taranda's cleanse, oh god, Brightwing's cleanse. I'm not a huge fan. I wish they were better.
Yeah. Where's your head on Brightwing? Because in the last week, in my anecdotal experience, which is hanging out in Platinum, like Brightwing is like the hot commodity right now.
I don't know what happened. Okay, so if you had asked me like 2 weeks ago, I would say I don't like Brightwing. But then I've been watching the CCL, the new CCL community exhibition matches, and I've seen so much good Brightwing, and I'm just so confused. Like I watch these people, and it's like apparently she's very good. I've been trying her more. Disastrously last week. Shout out to our last Heroes Lounge game. I apologize for that. I've been trying to catch up, but I have seen so many really good Brightwings lately, and I'm jealous. But apparently she's like really good. I don't know where that came from, but she is.
She's always been like my backup. Like,
I'll let you know when I figure it out. I have played her a bunch. Like, she's strong in the lower ranks because she just has like a huge healing output in a 5v5.
And I'd like to think of polymorph as just an off button. Just like if something happening that you don't like, well, now it doesn't need to be happening.
Dog's barking. Poly is a great CC, and it's really great for your like melee engaged heroes where they're like, I'm coming in, and you're not. That's why I picked her the other day, was because there was a tracer, and I was like, well, I'll poly this tracer. This seems like a great idea.
Oh, it's such a hard counter.
I mean, it worked for the tracer, but I forgot about the garage. Don't forget about the garage.
There's only so many bans that are possible.
Don't forget about that guy. Yeah, no, he was a monster. But I haven't quite decoded how to play Brightwing as well as some of the people I've been seeing in CCL, but there is definitely a lot of value to be had there. She definitely seems very strong in those, and those are high tier games, right? Those are all Grandmaster, Master, Pro players. Like they know what's up, and Brightwing's out there holding her own versus the really strong like Stukov. Like, oh my goodness, what? When I figure it out, I'll let you know. I'm not there yet though.
Is it just a snowball of the Gladiators medallions effect on the various healers?
I do think Medallion has had an effect on not only that healers provide a lot of CC and people can get out of it with Medallion, but also for the healers that don't have a true cleanse, like Brightwing, now everybody has their own. So that's really helpful. There's some things you just can't cleanse with Brightwing's cleanse, like Chromie's loop can't be cleansed by Brightwing, but now everybody has their own cleanse. So they can cleanse their own loop. Deal with it yourself. I actually laugh how many DPS I've seen miss time cleansing the loop because they're clearly not used to it. But yeah, I think that has probably helped her quite a bit. In cases where you're like, man, we really need a cleanse. Maybe you don't need it as bad as you did because everybody's got their own. And
do you like that? Do you like the medallion?
I'm more cleanses. Woo! Cleanse is so strong and so helpful. And being the only one to have one, and sometimes having to pick your healer around who has a cleanse, opening that up a little bit has been fun for me. For the healers that don't have a cleanse, like Alex Straza, doesn't even have a pseudo cleanse, right? It has like nothing. It feels a lot better playing those healers that you don't feel bad that you didn't pick the cleanse because everybody has one. So they can kind of get themselves out of some things that you couldn't before.
That's a really cool perspective, and one I don't think we've considered, Kyle.
Yeah.
Well, and healers want a main too. DPS are picking their mains. Tanks are early picking right now, and then healers are expected to play this huge roster of characters. That's not fair. And if everyone gets a medallion, then they get to actually play what they want.
Yeah, it does. It does open up your choices sometimes a little bit more.
Yeah.
It definitely opens up. Like Alex Straza is one of my favorite characters to play, and I play her a little bit less than some of the other healers because playing Q build is more counterable than some of her other builds, and then also she has no cleanse, and that's a big deal. Cleanse is one of the most powerful things healers bring, but I feel a little less guilty, still a little guilty, but.
Have any of the other anomalies had like noteworthy kind of effects on the healer role in your opinion?
Okay, let's think. Weather, not really. I don't know if weather had an effect on me at all except my frame rate. Oh my god,
weather.
That was a fun time where I had to play with settings on low and still got lag. I was so mad. But besides that, weather
was it Coffee when I subbed for you all that had like just upgraded their computer and was like, oh my god, it's like a brand new game. It's so pretty.
Well, Coffee was playing on low because a lot of higher tier players play on low because some abilities are easier to see with the lower.
Oh yeah,
graphics,
it's like the old
the lower visual clutter. So yeah, he was being a pro player and playing on low. But then I guess he's opened back up to playing on Ultra.
It's such a good looking game. Like
I hated playing it on low. Like it looks like cardboard for no reason.
It gives me big time flashbacks to like StarCraft 2 days because like that was when Twitch was blowing up and I remember tuning into like my favorite StarCraft pros and they were all playing on low. I'm like, this looks like StarCraft 1. What are you doing? It's such a pretty game.
They're doing it for the frames probably. Mm-hmm. But so that anomaly didn't affect me as a healer super much. I mean, there were some things with like the stealth. I feel like the stealth was probably the most impactful of the different weather effects, and trying to do things like different combos and ganks and stuff using the stealth. I know some people like Vipey were super into like playing like Garrosh and then doing like stealth gank picks with Garrosh during the fog. But overall, that one wasn't huge. Trying to think. Tower diving. As a healer, we don't tower dive very often. We're more concerned with the other people who are doing the tower dives. So the tower changes were more about watching what our DPS was doing if they were getting themselves killed by diving. So I guess that did affect us because people took a lot more damage, especially in the beginning. But
it affected your anxiety levels.
Yeah, it affected my "What are you doing, Genji?" levels. It made Anduin sometimes more satisfying because when your team dove and they shouldn't, you could correct them very quickly.
You're like an over-attentive teacher.
Anduin has that feel though, man, where you're like, please don't, like, please stop. It feels very Anduin too. Very for his,
I have
like,
strong opinions, and I will let them know. That's Anduin.
Anduin's like, please just stop. That's his whole character. But there was that with that anomaly. Other anomalies, the globes, I guess, don't really. I guess they affect us a little because it can be safer to soak, right? You can wait for a wave to clear out and then sneak in and get your globes. But only us sad healers down in the sad low ranks that are sad have to deal with soaking or being Brightwing because you're global.
I've had to soak on a Lily before, and it is it is deceptively tragic.
Yeah, her lane clear is terrible, but her 1v1 is amazing, especially if you play like Snake build. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, you're throwing around all these wins. You got serpents on you. Your auto attack's decent. So you get in these fights and you're like, you know what? I could probably, I'll take bottom lane. I'm going to take care of this. And it's just awful.
Yeah, no, her wave clear is completely garbage. It's really, really bad. But man, is Bruiser Brawler Lily fun? That's one my chat asks for every once in a while, and we decide to play Angry Lily. And the goal is always to have the highest DPS, and usually we can have the highest damage on our team. Only a couple of times have I, when I commit to it, been out damaged as damaged Lily. The problem is then your healing's not as good. You don't take the cleanse, and her cleanse is so good, and you just kind of don't focus on your team at all or care if they exist, and you might not win because of that. But it's really fun.
Let's follow that for a moment, because often there are people who want to play healers who end up with teams that don't deal enough damage. So what would be your top recommendation for
damage
climbing
healers?
Yeah, like at least, breaking that 25,000, having a contribution because your Genji does so little.
Stukov can do a deceptive amount of. Stukov is a really good healer. He is absolutely one of the top healers, and I find him more difficult to play than even Anna, like mechanically. But dang, is he good, and he can do a lot of damage. He has the hardest hitting auto attack in the game. So if you're brave enough to get in there in the melee and auto attack with Stukov, or if somebody dives you, just turn and give him the big hand. Stukov hits tremendously hard. And then there's also his talent at level 7, I think it is, targeted excision, where if you hit only one person with your pustule, one enemy person, and then pop it, you get a reset on the cooldown of your D. It's normally because it increases your healing by a ton, right? Because you can just you get D resets, but it's damage as well because you're putting your pustule on someone and then popping it for the damage. Sukov's damage adds up pretty crazy. Oh, Sukov's a good boy. Who else for damage? Malfurion has deceptively high damage because in order to heal, he has to be moonfiring. So Malf has to be like in it pretty constantly. And he wants to hit multiple person moonfires. So you get more healing the more people who are hit by the moonfire. So for Malf, like, brawling is really important. His out of combat or his out of team fight healing feels so bad because all you have is the renew. If you're not actually able to moonfire, like being Malf on a boss feels very tragic sometimes. If people are getting hit by like boss stuns, healing that back up is such a pain with Malfurion.
That definitely seems like a more recent healer design trend, the damage equals healing.
Damage
and perhaps
heal, yeah. Malf and Tyrande both kind of suffer from that affliction. I'm not super into it. I don't enjoy playing either of those healers. I do, especially Malfurion, because he's good with like characters like Tracer. So when I play with Mockery, I'm pretty much locked into playing Malf 100% of the time. And I'll do it, but I don't super like it. But yeah, like Malf. Tyrande is another one who does damage that's pretty decent. Rhaegar can do okay damage. Karazim, of course, the first multi-class before multi-class was a thing, right? Karazim does pretty okay damage.
I mean, that's practically a play style and less of a talent build. I've seen amazing healers who go punches at one. I've seen amazing DPS that go heals on punches for themselves.
Yeah. Karazim's a tough one. He has a really awesome cleanse too. So much about cleanses, but a lot of the time I'm picking a healer based on a cleanse. But it's at 16, so it's really, you have to wait so long to get to that really good cleanse. But then once he gets there, and you get the cleanse when you dash. So that's fun. But he can do very good damage as well, depending on how you're playing him.
What about Whitemane? She's all about the damage to the heal and stuff.
She's so weird. She's so weird. I've seen some people play her and get such high healing and damage and be really impactful, but then other times she just falls apart. She doesn't feel super consistent to me. She can be either like top tier or complete garbage, I think, depending on the player. I feel like she's really not situational, but like, I don't know, she's a lifestyle choice. Like Whitemane isn't just like, yeah, I'm going to queue up Whitemane today. Like you have to really be committed to playing Whitemane and playing her well. But if you do, she has tremendous numbers. And I think both of her heroics are also like very good. And it's cool that you could pick either one depending on your team comp and the enemy team comp. Like it's some heroes, it's like their build is set in stone no matter what. You're going to take the same everything all the time. But I feel like when I play Whitemane, it really depends. But they're both also good. But yeah, she's hard. She's hard, man. That's a commitment. That's more of a commitment even than Stukov. Like, I don't know.
With those two ideas combined, what do you think of the Whitemane harsh discipline and the Stukov virulent reaction? Because those can, in certain metas, and certainly for Stukov's case, become required talents that you must suddenly at 13 be amazing at.
Yeah, the root for Stukov, I think, is required for sure. I think if you're going to play Stukov, you have to take that root. And I do think also the 7 talent that I mentioned, you should probably also take that. Targeted excision. But that's why Stukov is so hard, right? Because he has so many things that you have to do correctly and so many buttons in the right order. Like, to get his maximum healing, you have to have your heal on everybody who's in the team fight, and then land one of your pustules on one enemy, and then pop your D, and then you get the D reset, and you have to do that all over again. Then also, that one pustule that you're activating, you need to have a silence under that person to root them, to execute that root silence combo to set up a kill. You don't necessarily have to do both things at once. Like maybe you're only focused on healing right now and you're not trying to set up that kill. But if you're in a situation where you're trying to do both at once, you're trying to root combo to get a kill and get your maximum healing. Oh my God. It's like, it feels like piloting a spaceship. There's just so many things that have to be done at the exact right time in the exact right order. But if you do it, he's probably one of, if not the best healers in the game. Like, he's super strong. He's just super hard. Whitemane, though, I don't know if it's so much about pressing the exact right buttons in the exact right order, as it is just like your positioning, your damage, using your Q correctly so you don't run yourself and then like you said, the root I do think is really important for her to have. She doesn't otherwise, Stukov too, actually, now that I think about it, they don't have baseline super great CC, it just slows, right? And you kind of expect more from your healers when you're used to healers that have hard CC like stuns or roots. So they kind of need that to compete with the other healers. It's another thing with Alex Strazo. She doesn't have great CC until I guess you get the massive slow and E build, but it's just a slow. So we said you expect your healers to be able to contribute to that like CC and lockdown with the tank to set up those kills.
So we've got multiple questions that we collected from the community. Now that I feel like we've kind of run the gamut of most of the healers, but we've also got some like specific questions. Before we do that, though, I do want to thank our patrons for supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN because we pulled a lot of the questions from our Discord, which the patrons get access to. And so anyone listening at home, if you like the show and you want to support us, check it out. Patreon.com/ITN. You get access to our Discord. You can sign up for our game nights. And to our most recent patron, Michael Abdallah, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. But anyways, Kyle, you went and collected quite a few questions. And so the ones that I don't think we've already talked about, because we kind of already covered some of these, There were some questions about kind of, again, still about like kind of roles in Heroes, with a little bit of crossover with obviously organized play, because even before you came on the program, Kiyeberries, Kyle's talked about your team efforts for quite a few months now. So Ogbar wanted to know, said that we spent a year listening to complaints about the stale tank meta, but the healer meta seems to be the other extreme, with nerfs and buffs causing a constant flavor of the patch scenario. Is this an issue? What makes healers so hard to balance that Blizzard's constantly playing whack-a-mole with them?
About this a little bit today. So it's fine to go back to. I think like what I said earlier with healers can affect the meta and affect the meta of the game, and then have such an impact on individual team fights that even small buffs and nerfs have like big effect. So then when you get into big buffs and nerfs, you can shift the entire like meta of the game. Like when we had the double support meta, it didn't seem like on paper they were very huge changes, and yet they hugely affected the rest of the game. So I think that's why the healer meta seems to shift so drastically and so often, because even seemingly very small buffs actually have a huge effect on how well a healer performs and what they do in a team fight, and how impactful they feel and how impactful they are. Because sometimes how impactful they feel is more important actually than how they really are. Because if something feels really strong and feels really annoying to play against, that might matter more than even the raw numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just it feels bad, man. You see that with some heroes like Nova, when she's buffed to decent, even though she might not have numbers to compete with other assassins, she can just be so unfun to play against. Same with Valera, all the stealthies, actually, all of you stealthies. When they get small buffs, they feel so bad to play against that it's actually worse than bigger buffs to numbers. But
yeah, it's stealthies, Genji, and Tracer.
Just a teeny buff to them can feel so bad. But it's okay with healers. I guess if you've been playing healer long enough, you're used to it at this point, that you're going to have like a strong flavor of the month healer that you're probably going to pick, and then that will change. You get used to it. I don't hate it. Like, it doesn't bother me. It's kind of fun when ones that you haven't played for a while that you might have liked, but they've been out of rotation, get to come back around for a little bit. Like Bloodlust Rhaegar was a really fun time, and Amiya's gone now, but something will come back around with Rhaegar sooner or later. We just gotta wait. I'm okay with it.
We got another one from Keeper of the Heroes memes, Dax. Or I guess giving Vipey a run for his money. On the Heroes
big memer, it's true.
Yeah. But Dax wants to know what hero you would like to see added to the support role, and if you have an idea of what you would like their kit to look like.
Oh man, I don't know. The last time I actually tried to speculate on a kit and a hero I would like to see was before Alex Straza was released, and my choice was Belial from Diablo, the Lord of Lies. And it's actually really weird. The video is still on my YouTube, and I nailed like 60% of Alex Straza's kit.
Oh, hell yeah, that's rad.
Kit. Yeah, that's because I was kind of thinking like an ult that would life transfer or life equalize, and a heal that would hurt you but heal them. And then there's Alex Straza. And I haven't really been able to come up with anything since, because I am not a hero designer. But so I guess I should be happy that I got everything I ever wanted in a healer, and I can just retire from that role now. I still do really like the idea of Belial. He's one of my favorite Diablo characters. The only one I like more is Imperious. So again, I get everything I ever wanted. But if I was just a character, I don't know, somehow bring Belial in because he's cool, and that's it.
I can rock with that.
Oh, remove the support role. Oh no. Chat, please.
We also had like a question about just kind of generally getting into healing. Peekaboo wants to know like where they should start, and how do they know if they're doing a decent job or improving. So kind of the basics here.
Where to start? I guess if you've never ever healed, Lily is probably the place to start, like baby's first healer if you've never healed, because you don't actually have to target her heal. But then as you get better, you see that you actually can target her heal, because Lily's heal is targeted in 2 ways. 1, by proximity, and then 2, by percentage health missing. So you can actually manipulate pretty easily who gets healed by Lily based on your positioning. If you have 2 people and you want to heal one over the other, you just get physically closer to the one that you want to heal. And then you have to pay attention to their health percentage. They added a thing like years ago where there's actually like an icon under their portrait of who you're going to target. And depending on what skin it is, it's different, but it's like a swirly, misty thing. So you know who you're going to heal. But when you start, you don't have to care about any of that. And you can just hold down the Q. You could put like a penny on it so that you're just constantly healing. And you can work on other things like how to use cleanse, because Lily's cleanse is awesome. She is, like, in my opinion, the best cleanse in the game. So you can learn how to use cleanse really easily with Lily. You can work on your positioning and where you should be, like, versus a DPS character. And you can just get into the feel of being a healer without really having to worry about what your heal is doing. And then as you improve, you can pay more attention to that healing mechanic. And then after Lily, I would probably say Rhaegar is like the second kind of healer that you can start learning how to heal, because his heal is point and click targeted. It can't be like interrupted. Like Anduin's Q can be interrupted because it has a cast time. But Rhaegar's Q can't be interrupted. It's an AoE heal. It's the chain heal. So if you heal the wrong person, you'll still probably heal the right person when it jumps. And it was changed a long time ago to actually equalize the healing. Back in the day, the first person you healed got more healing. So
yeah, I alt cast it because I'm a noob, and I'm just like, it'll go where it needs to go after I heal myself.
That's a great thing when you start getting used to healing, and then you can just self cast it, and it's gonna go somewhere, and you're gonna provide some healing, and it's really easy. He has that wave clear and camp ability as well. If you're used to playing a character that's like an offlaner, it's a soft transition because he can still kind of do that. He's really fun to play, right? Like Ghost Wolf and going in and biting people and securing kills. That's really fun. His CC is incredibly easy to use because you just put it on the ground and like there it is, because the totem. So you don't have to worry about like combos that are difficult, like some like Stukov, like you just set it on the ground. But it starts getting you used to the idea of using your CC to follow up and secure kills and stuff. And you could take Bloodlust when you're a new healer, because you just press it and people will kill stuff and get healing, and it's really easy and you don't have to think about it too hard when a team fight starts. Just press R. Amazing. Or you can take Ancestral and be sad. Ancestral makes me so sad because it's so much worse than Lifebinder in every way. But so similar, but so much worse. But it can start to teach you about like timed heals like that, because it can be interrupted and you can cast it too late and it doesn't go off, or you cast it too early and you don't get full value. But it's just healers that are pretty simple on the surface, and then as you get used to them, have more depth that you can learn later. But you can still perform the function of being the healing character without it being super hard. Like, you don't want Anna to be your first healer. You probably don't want Stukov to be your first healer. You probably don't even want Malfurion to be your first healer. Like, there's a lot more going on there that you have to do correct to even get healing numbers. And it can be really frustrating and turn you off from the whole experience. Plus, both Lily and Rhaegar are really fun in a team fight. And, like, they're really brawly, battly heroes. So they're just fun, really fun to play. And I feel like if somebody who had never played a healer played Anna, they would have zero fun.
Probably. So like we said with Whitemane, find your passion after you get used to the general healing role.
Yeah, Whitemane is definitely a lifestyle choice. But the people who enjoy Whitemane, like, they definitely have a lot of fun. But maybe not to start. Maybe not the first one that you ever play.
Yeah.
Do you ever...
Anna or like Ariel, I could just say, try those first. Dude,
Ariel is so team dependent that she can be so fun and satisfying, and you feel so powerful like a god, or you have no hope ever and you can never heal and you just cry.
You have no hope. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
There's literally no hope because that's what it's called, but also no hope because it's very sad.
Do you take any cues from the stats themselves? If you were to open a screen and be like, oh man, we lost. Did I do okay?
Definitely, I'll look at my healing numbers. Depending on which healer I'm playing, it probably tells me more about what my team is doing. Like if we lost and I look at Rhaegar and my damage, not my healing, my damage is really low, that tells me that I was never able to be involved in a team fight. Like I didn't feel safe enough to go bite people. I was putting lightning shield on people and it was getting no value because lightning shield, I really like the mana return talent with lightning shield. So in a team fight, I like to put lightning shield on my tank because they're going to be the one it'll hit the most things because they're in there in the middle of the enemy team. There's probably minions around, maybe there's buildings. So with lightning shield hitting the most people, I'm getting the most mana back. But if the tank isn't able to go in or I'm not able to go in, then I'm not getting any of that value. So I'll see that my damage is really low. That's like the first thing I'll notice on a Rhaegar game. If my damage was really low, it means something was going on where the team fights were not going well. Like maybe we were always fighting down a person, so we were losing or something like that. As far as healing numbers, like with Ariel, if you notice your healing is really low, it's probably because you didn't have a good hope battery and you just couldn't heal in the first place. Because Ariel's healing numbers should be absurd, especially if you got to level 20 and you got some decent, like you had reservoir stacks from 16 and you made it to 20. Ariel's healing should be really high. And if it's not, something was going on with your hope gen. And that's sad.
What about someone like Deckard, who you can walk away with great healing numbers, actually really good damage too, and still lose?
That was probably a CC issue then, I would assume. Because Deckard can have really high healing numbers if people are drinking your rubies. If your healing numbers are low, it's people weren't drinking your potions, and then you're sad. But if you're able to heal a bunch, but the enemy team isn't dying, it was probably a CC issue. Either you weren't CCing well in the first place, or your CC wasn't being followed up. But maybe you weren't CCing well. Like maybe you weren't. If your damage is high, I have to assume you're landing your triangles. Because the triangles and the cubes are all of Deckard's damage. It's not like he's in there meleeing people. Unless you took the stun staff and you're like a Chad. But he's probably not in there meleeing people. So your damage is coming from your triangle and your cube. So if your damage is decent, but you lost and nobody died, then I would say it was a follow-up thing. That you landed that CC, but either it was in a place where your team could not follow up and it wasn't actually impactful, or your team didn't follow up and your team was playing poorly. If your damage is really low on Deckard, then you probably weren't actually landing your CC in the first place.
These are all good tips too, especially if you're new to the game, because you probably aren't even sure what you're really looking for in terms of the stats, right? Like with Deckard in particular too, his triangle is like a really cool CC, but it costs a lot of mana. So if you're just throwing it out willy-nilly and you're not hitting anything, your damage is going to be really low and you're going to be like all of the time. So that would be one. That if you saw your damage was really low on Deckard and you felt like you were all the time, you probably just weren't landing your triangle and you need to work on that. Yeah. Well, but potentially a chewy final question, because Gib wrote in and was kind of curious about how you kind of look at Heroes as a whole, and and the wording was like, do you consider yourself an ambassador for the game? And I wanted to piggyback off this and ask, like, more so as someone who's been around the game since the beginning, like, how do you just feel about Heroes of the Storm in general and where it is now? I mean, I guess I'm an ambassador for the game. I think just by, I guess I am, but I enjoy the game. I know a lot of people got really salty, and some of it, all of it justified after HGC and then after the Blizzard layoffs, but I still played the game through all of that. I've actually never stopped playing the game since Tech Alpha. I have the dubious title of the longest running hot streamer. The only one who had been here before me was Dunk Train, and he left, so now it's me. Oh, yeah. Congratulations. Yeah, Dunk had it. Dunk had that hat for a long time, and now it's me. So I obviously enjoy the game because I'm still here and I never left. But I understand people's complaints, and some of them are valid, some of them are dumb. But overall, it's a fun game, right? Like, it's a game I can keep coming back to every single day for so many years.
I can't say that about pretty much any other video game. Even World of Warcraft that I've played longer, I've still had longer breaks of where I'm not playing WoW than HOTS. Like, every single game feels unique, and even if you have a bad, like, particular game, the next game you play is completely different. Different people, different heroes, different map, and you can just, it's, for me at least, really easy to compartmentalize and forget about the bad games, because the next game is different and fun, and it's fine.
Yeah, every game it's a new chance.
Yeah, every game's a new chance, and like every game feels different, and it's just the bad feelings have never stick, right? So I have still I still have fun with the game. It still feels good to me. I've been so many different ranks in this game that I've played at so many different skill levels and seen so much stuff. But it's all been fun. It's been a fun ride, and I will continue to play it until it stops being fun. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Because you're live so often, 5 days a week for hours, do you feel like the pulse of the game changes? What brings people back the most? Is it heroes? Is it map changes, anomalies?
At least for my channel, it can't be heroes, because I play like the same one so often that there's no variety there. Like, there's got to be something else. I think it's the variety within the gameplay itself, because the different maps, I think, are a big thing with HOTS versus League of Legends. I hate to compare them, but because you don't generally play the same map 2 times in a row, each game feels so different, and you have different objectives, literally, but also like each map changes the way you're playing the game and the way you look at the game. When I get new people in the channel who are like, I have never played HOTS before, please explain it to me. You always have to first explain, like, this map we're on is Garden of Terror, and next game it won't be. So everything we're doing in this game is probably going to be different next game. Every strategy we talk about is going to be different. Fundamental down to like even just the laning, the way we split up our team, the heroes we take is going to be completely different in the next game, and that's awesome. Like, if you play Garden one game and the next game is Brax's Holdout, like, the differences there are huge. And explaining that to new players always makes me appreciate that aspect of the game, the variety that it gives you, even just one game to the next.
There's something for everybody, including that weird team we fought last night that only like 2-lane maps, apparently.
Yeah, that's those people, man. What the heck?
Hey, I love Braxis.
That's because it makes you so important as solo lane. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
You play Rexar, right? So like Braxis is your jam.
Yes, it's ban Rexar or take Rexar is my Braxis strat.
Yeah, speaking of characters that can feel unfun to play against, Rexar in the solo lane, by the way.
No, don't say anything. They're going to nerf him again. Or more people will start getting good at Kira. Kyle, it finally happened this week.
Oh, yeah? You had one?
I got countered by Kira.
And it won?
No, we still won the game.
Okay.
Because I just played really, really safe, but I've never felt less impactful as a Rexar player.
Okay. It's spreading.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that feel when you're completely countered and you're like, I don't know what to do with my hands anymore. It's like Ricky Bobby. You're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know how to play. That's how I felt in our game on Battlefield of Eternity when I was that Brightwing. And the Garrosh would just walk up to me and I was like, this is how I die.
That was a dirty. That particular team had a bunch of 100% win rate heroes, so we had to ban everything, and then they were still good on the other side.
Yeah, no, it was tough. That Garrosh, it's
yeah. Garrett,
I still have nightmares, honestly.
Yeah, Garrosh is rough.
He's one of those. I love playing with one, hate playing against one.
Yeah, but it's also so. I never know what Garrosh I'm playing against or with. Like, the quality of the Garrosh is
and that Storm League, man, when you get the Garrosh who actually doesn't want to go in and he's like hiding in the back and you're like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing back there?
You're not Stitches? Get up here. What are you doing?
Yeah. Or the bad feel when your team really wants to focus the enemy Garrosh and he has like 75 armor and he's just not dying. And you're just, why won't you die?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I don't know how much to respect the Garrosh in either side, facing him down or playing alongside one.
I guess always just assume on the enemy team he's going to be pure evil, and on your team he's going to be a bunny.
Nah, I'm a bunny right now. I need to work on that guy. It'd be a good thing for the arsenal.
I like Anna with Garrosh. That's another one. You toss them, I'll sleep them. And then they should be dead. Somebody should have killed them in that time frame.
I need you to start dunking on one of my regular hero picks, Kyle, because like right there, I just wanted to go, oh, that sounds so much better than Mal'Ganis. But I don't want to be mean. I need you to start dumping on something I play regularly.
I actually love playing with This dog is so tilted right now. I love playing with Mal'Ganis, and specifically Kyle's Mal'Ganis. Mal'Ganis is so easy to follow up because they're just slept there standing still. So it's just so delightful to play any healer that has CC to follow up Mal'Ganis. Like, anyone feels good. Stukov feels good. Mal feels good. Anduin feels good. Anna. Like, Mal'Ganis is just great.
Yeah, it's been interesting in our community game nights, because it's just like the initiation happens, but then like two people from the enemy team just show up out of nowhere in our back line.
That could be tough. Yeah, appeal situation.
Yeah, but it's also like it's not regular. We it's rare that we end up with the same 5-stack from like a month before.
For us with the Badgers, though, someday we will have a roster.
It's been interesting. It's been a bit of a roller coaster.
Discovering that NGS has a limit on how many subs you have.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
You may have been the first one to hit that, huh?
Apparently, you're only allowed 3 subs, and we spent them all on coffee. So now we have no subs left. We happen to sign up Balthi as our, emergency, just come on in. You can sign up on our team. It'll be great. Wait, and now he's a main for the next 2 weeks.
Wait, am I locked in as one of your subs now?
No, that was Heroes Lounge you played
in.
So.
I get the leaks
much more forgiving.
Okay, all right. Thank God. I was just like, oh no, because I'm not usually available.
Yeah, no, that was a fun discovery there. That you can only have so many subs, and even if they're the same person, they count as different people each time. Who knew? But then wasn't it at the start they wouldn't let us add him to our roster because he's on another roster?
Right.
And they were only letting him sub because they're different divisions. So we couldn't have actually added him as our fill anyway. But fun discoveries there. Someday we'll have a set.
Yeah, we'll get the unbanned player back. We'll be a happy family again, and we can finally move forward, hopefully.
Hopefully. He does this thing where he'll bark one time, and then I'll mute, and I'm like, okay, he's done. And then as soon as I unmute, barks again.
Oh, he got tossed by the Garrosh. He's very tilted.
He's this gray mane is so mad.
Well, Kai, you've been great and did exactly what I was hoping. I was hoping for a healer deep dive, and that is exactly what you have delivered today. So I think it's going to bring us to the end of this episode of Into the Nexus. As our guest, before we start the outro, where can everyone find you and your awesome Heroes content?
I keep it really simple at Kiyeberries. It's everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all the places. It's all Kiyeberries. Branding on lock. So as long as you can spell it, because it's a weird word, Kiye berries, there I am.
Got it. You got it. As for us, once again, our podcast is supported by our awesome patrons. If you want to support our podcast, you can head on over to patreon.com/ITN. You get some perks like access to our Discords, signups for our patron game nights. And so go check it out. And a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, by the way, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Chris K, Mike C, and Sean B. Thank you very much for the support, you 5. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, it is at itncast. Know when the show's going live. Especially if there's a schedule change or anything. We'll also let you know when new episodes get posted. Other than that, Kyle, there's more to you than just ITN. Where can everyone find you?
Yes, you should find me over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson, where I broadcast all of the NGS and previously Heroes Lounge games from the tank perspective, which is a lot of staring at people, trying to say a name as fast as possible, hopefully saying the right name, and the person I said dies.
Wait, the shot calling is so good, though. That was such a huge change to our team actually having, because originally we didn't have any. We just kind of float around. It was not.
We hoped on democracy. We were for we wanted everyone to have a part and say and we'd all. No.
Tremendous failure. No, your shot calling is so good. I have so many games where I take notes to make YouTube videos, and my notes are always just like crisp comms, good calls, clean calls. I have to think of new words because I've used the same one so much. It's getting repetitive. But
I'm so glad to hear you say that, Guy, because this is Kyle and my 10th year working together, and dude hated telling people how to play or giving input for the longest time. And dude, you have so come into your own. It's been so rad to watch you grow in that aspect.
It's a learned skill. Streaming helps because you're used to talking while playing. That was the biggest hurdle.
All of your thoughts. That definitely is a streamer thing.
Yes, and then I opened a child rearing book, and it said just say what you're doing while you hang out with your kid. And I stream, so I'm just walking around, I'm acting like I'm streaming. I'm like, all right, big buddy, yo, dog, dad's here. We're gonna make some sandwiches. First thing that goes on the sandwich, peanut butter. Blow the air horn. It's perfect.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, son.
Don't forget it.
Telling your kid to ring the bell.
That's so perfect. We're your little teammate children.
Exactly.
I love it.
It's so good, man. And I'm not doing a bit when I say that you've really just made me want to play more coordinated games because it was such a treat when I got to fill in. So everyone should
turn all that energy around and fire it at Kiyeberries because your invite was the whole reason this whole thing happened. I happened to be playing solo lane at the time. I didn't know I'd be tanking, but it all worked out fabulously.
Yeah, because originally we were looking for a solo laner, and I remembered from the celebrity CCL how good your rel was and Malthael as well, and I was like, I know a man who's good in the solo lane. And then it's changed so drastically, but good job, past Kai. Good thought there, because your rel was so good in CCL. That was you said you studied, I think, Liam's URL.
Yeah, to my face, no less. It was I was trying to early pick it before he could get it.
Yeah, he was there. That was frightening.
Yeah. Well, whatever the case is, folks should definitely go check out both of your streams because I have by osmosis reaped the benefits of your coordinated play. So I can't sing enough praises. Folks, if you want to follow me, I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. This podcast and every single other one that I produce can be found at amove.tv. Go catch up. If you missed our patch breakdown, go catch last week's episode. It was a long one, and we literally went point by point and broke it down into digestible, actionable information for your brains. So go check that out.
Actionable. That is a good word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but Kiyeberries, thank you again for coming on. And
I'm still nervous, but it's better than that. Less nervous than at the start. Still nervous though.
You did great.
Yeah,
this is fabulous.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and I feel like I learned a lot about healing. So thank you again for that. Thank you.
I hope there are comments I can check and have everyone tell me how wrong I am in the comments. I'm so ready.
At Kiyeberries on Twitter. That's how we do it on podcasts. You tweeted us and let us know what we said that was wrong.
Please tweet at me all of your disagreements. I read YouTube comments every day, so I'm ready. Bring it to me.
How would you put yourself through that?
I don't know.
That's
someone has to do it.
It's like leaving your politically involved friends unmuted on Twitter. I don't know how you go to.
You got. There's an important decision, Garrett. You got to decide if you're going to give a heart or thumbs up, and you got to really think about it.
You got it. You gotta.
Oh man. Oh, that's great. So. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening at home. We will see you next week for the next episode of Into the Nexus. But until then, good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.